Now the church at Corinth, were believers. Now their problem was that they weren't legalistic believers. Their problem was that they were carnal believers. And they had a lot of problems. They were not the kind of church that represented righteousness or godliness. Well, for example, we could go to 1 Corinthians 1:11. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 1:11, he says, "For I have been informed concerning you, my brethren, by Chloe's people, that there are" what? "Quarrels among you." So apparently this was a church that was known for their in-house fighting. He says in 1 Corinthians 1:11 that there are quarrels among you. Quarrels among you. 1 Corinthians 3. 1 Corinthians 3, verse 3. Paul says, "For you are still fleshly, since there is jealousy and strife among you." Jealousy and strife among you. Are you not fleshly? Are you not walking like mere men? So there were quarrels among them. There was jealousy and strife among them. And not only that, but 1 Corinthians 5:1. 1 Corinthians 5:1. Paul says it is actually reported that there is immorality among you. So there's quarrels and jealousy and strife, and there's immorality. And immorality of such a kind as does not exist even among the Gentiles, that someone has his own wife, and not just quarrels and jealousy and strife and immorality, but there's arrogance too. Verse 3, "And you have become arrogant and have not mourned instead, so that the one who has done this deed would be removed from your midst." That church with some problems, wouldn't you say? And then you get over to 1 Corinthians 11, verse 17. And Paul wants to teach them about humility. He wants to teach them about sacrifice. He says, "But in giving this instruction I do not praise you, because you come together not for the better, but" what? "For the worse. For in the first place, when you come together as a church, I hear that there are divisions among you." In part, I believe it. Verse 20, "And therefore when you meet together, it is not for the Lord's Supper." Verse 21, "For in your eating, each one has his own supper first, and one is hungry and another is drunk." Now what kind of church is this? You have quarrels, jealousy, strife, immorality, arrogance, drunkenness. I mean, I've been in bars with better morals than... Right? Right?
Sounds like a family reunion.
Ah, it sounds like some family reunions, right? This is a pretty bad church. Are these Christians?
Yes.
Let's go back to 1 Corinthians 1. 1:1. Paul, called an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God, and Sosthenes our brothers. Verse 2, "To the church of God, which is at Corinth, to those who have been" what? "Sanctified in Christ Jesus, saints by calling." Uh-oh. These are saints. A saint is just simply a synonym for a Christian. It's just simply somebody who's believed in Christ. We're all saints, by the way. You have St. Jeremy up here, right? St. Karen, St. Jane in the back. But do saints ever act like sinners?
Oh, yes.
Well, these saints here were. What is Paul teaching them? He's going to try to teach them about the sacrifice and the humility and the love of Christ. Now, he's trying to get them to the place of understanding the love and the sacrifice of Christ. He's trying to bring them to the place of love.